All right, everyone, as promised, here is the second Andy Wood video. Andy was nice enough to stop by while he was in Nashville. We did 2 different videos. If you haven't seen the first one yet, we did a picking lesson over there. It's so good. It's actually really changing the way that I'm picking the guitar. So make sure you check that out. I'll link that down below. But today we're going to talk about Andy's approach to music, talk about his gear a little bit more, and just a lot of his philosophies about playing guitar. So Andy is a wealth of knowledge, a terrifying guitar player, and just a great human. So let's get into all of that. And a big ol' thank you to the awesome people over at Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. All the gear we talk about, I will link it down below for you. Sweetwater sells a lot of it. Andy's signature Telecaster, his compressor pedal, as well as the Rev D40 amp that he was playing through the whole time while he was here, and a bunch of other stuff. Now, the other thing is that Andy was nice enough to give us a promo code, Baker200, if you want to attend his Woodshed guitar experience. I will link that down below. It'll save you $200. I don't get any kickback from that. Andy's just a cool dude, and I will be there for probably one of the days this year. I went a couple years ago, and it is, like it says, it's an experience. So anyways, thanks to Andy, and let's get to the video. Well, dude, thank you, first off, so much for making the trip up from the land of Nash.
It's I feel like even though I live 2 hours away, when I come to town, I gain an hour.
Yeah, you kind of do.
So I kind of cheat the system. Yeah. You know, I've somehow discovered time travel.
I want to do a video with you forever. I'm such a fan of your playing, your albums, all the stuff. So first question is, how do you keep getting better? Yeah.
Man, I wish. It's hard. I think in all seriousness, man, like burnout's real, you know. Keeping the creative juices flowing is really, no matter how much you love something, you can get not tired of it, but it's hard to remain creative.
Yeah.
Especially when you get up every day in the morning and you flip through Twitter or Instagram and there's another 11-year-old playing something impossible.
Playing Scarified.
You're just like, what is this? But there is such an amazing inspirational group of young players out there on the scene. Mateo, Josh Meader, Jack Gardner. I mean, they're like, I could sit here all day and just name scary players within the guitar world, but I'm such a fan of things in other genres, man. Like, his name's Anton. He does all the counterpoint stuff. He's insane. Sierra Hull released a new record. It's like, there's great stuff being put out all the time. So many great players. So I don't know. It's hard to turn that not noise, but that distraction off to be like, what's your statement? And I think when you said, as a joke, getting better, I don't think I'm any better than, but I'm trying to be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. But the thing that I want to be better at than anything is a storyteller, an entertainer, something beyond being good at guitar. That's what really keeps me motivated.
Which is interesting, because with this album, and I don't say it just because it's just your new album, I think this is my favorite album of yours, the Charisma one, because we were talking off camera, you're doing so many more like chordal harmonies, and just all the amazing guitar playing is still there, but it's almost like more vocal at times, I guess. Is that kind of what you were maybe going for with that? Or?
Yeah, I think vocal is a term that gets thrown around a lot with guitar players. Like, I want to sound like a singer. Like, everybody says that's some kind of default. Like, of course, because that's good.
I was trying to find my,
like, I want to sound good. You know, it's like, in other words, I want to be good at the instrument. You know, no, but in seriousness, I think there's a couple of things that amplify that, whatever that thing is that you're talking about. The first amplifier of it would be, about 12, 13 years ago, I worked with Andy Timmons for the first time, and since then we've become friends. And I say it all the time, he's been a mentor, not like he said, I don't take lessons from him, that sounds weird to say that, but he's been such a positive force on my life. And my search for sounding good and what that means to sound good, I think is the more interesting question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to sound good? Like to not hit wrong notes? Well, that's not really it, because every guitar player I know, no matter how great they are, there's a video of someone somewhere hitting a wrong note, you know,
Right.
unless you're miming it. That's another topic.
Well, yeah.
We'll scoot that over. But, you know, finding the things that I love about my favorite players is something I kind of, by osmosis, by being around my favorite players. As my career grew, you know, I was being asked to jam on stage with guys that I'd looked up to my whole life. I mean, there was a Facebook post I shared the other day, and I think it was 15 years ago, and it was at a Sir NAMM event, and Doug Aldrich was there, and Pete Thorne, and they were doing a thing, and I knew John, and I was invited, but I wasn't like a Sir artist at that level. Obviously, I didn't have a resume at the time that it's like what I got now, but Doug said on stage, he was just like, you know, one of the best young guitar players in the game is here tonight. Andy, come up here and play. And I was just kind of like dumbfounded. And John leans over, he goes, hey man, that's your call. Yeah. That's your cue, buddy.
Oh, man.
I was like, oh yeah. So those environments kept happening. And I think the best thing that happened in those early years was getting my teeth kicked in a great way. Not like I didn't know how to play the instrument, but they knew their statement. Like Doug Aldrich undeniably knows what Doug Aldrich is about.
Yeah.
And he plays an A chord, and you're like, now I know what you're about.
He's a bad dude.
And it's before anything happens, you know? And that's one thing that I noticed with Timmons the first time we worked together. I was so ready. I'd been practicing. I had probably way more chops then than I have now. And he hit one chord, like getting ready to, it was just like something that, you know, it was just something. And I was like, oh, well, I need to go home, because I clearly am not ready for this level of the major leagues.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and that level of the major leagues isn't the arms race. That was like amplifier number one. It's like learning that finding your statement is not the arms race. And when I think of Andy as a mentor, that's kind of what that is.
Yeah.
And then becoming friends and working with guys that I'd looked up to my whole life, like freaking Steve Morse, or, you know, whoever, right? Like all these guys. Amplifier number two for that record was the fact that we were in COVID. We didn't have anything to do. We were like, I'm a touring guy first and foremost. I didn't come up with this scene of like digital YouTube. I came up from sleeping on a bunk and putting my in-ears in and playing stage. And so when that was taken away from us touring guys, I just would go downstairs, and I started my Patreon then. I started a lot of like my digital investments at that time. Not really out of like, oh, I better change my career, but more out of like, well, I'm going to sit here and look at the walls, or I'm going to keep my community thing happening. And to me, that's what live music is like the communal, the fraternal order of people in a room together, right? So I was like, how do I capture that? And that was with Patreon and doing live Zoom masterclasses and doing the digital concerts and play from backing tracks.
I remember you doing that stuff.
Yeah. So that was catalyst number two, like amplifier number two, and that led to using lessons and stuff as a vehicle for an example for a riff or something, or how I think about something, or teaching intervals or whatever it may be. And then I'll be like, oh man, that's a good idea. I should need to record that. In that process, I lost my dad and my granddad within 13 months of each other.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Not COVID related, ironically, both of them. But that was like emotional amplifier that was like nuclear bomb. I didn't know what to do with all that energy, negative energy, and I should have probably been an adult and get a therapist. But instead, I just would go downstairs and make demos.
Write music.
So when the time came to cultivate this record, I started with about 52 raw demos and chose the things that made the statement, that identified the statement. Not necessarily what it was that was the flashiest or most impressive, just the thing that was a statement. And in that, ironically, when I was writing, I wouldn't let myself get caught up in production and dialing. I spent more time dialing this tone today than I did, for the demos. I would just, the guitar be not really in tune, and I would just hit spacebar on Logic and I was worried about capturing the idea.
Right.
And I knew if the melody was strong enough, I could come back and polish it up. Whereas on previous records, maybe I had something, especially the first record, I had like circus trick things that I was writing tunes around versus like thinking about what I wanted to say. And I think that comes with age, and age not being a numeric number, but age being like how many years have you been in the big leagues, like a better term. By that I mean like having to go on stage with somebody like Eric Johnson.
Right.
And he's about to play Manhattan. Now, what the hell are you going to say? You know, it's like, because being good at the guitar ain't it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully to all the legions of mutant level players that are out there in the game now. But I think this is a question I would ask any of your viewers, and I'd ask you and you and myself too. It's like, we're in this arms race, this golden age of all these great players, but there's not that many great guitar albums out. So like, where are the records? It's like everybody's all dressed up with nowhere to go.
Yeah, because I'd say a lot of current guitar music, it's a little bit taxing to listen to.
And it's also not meant to be listened to for long times, which in turn makes it taxing.
Right, yeah, it's like very overstimulating for you to hear, because it's just like a non-stop, almost like statement of like, this is how good I am at guitar. And I think that's what I liked about the Charisma album, because it was like, oh, I can listen to this whole album. Like, there's breaks in it where it's just these really nice big clean tones all of a sudden, and then it's terrifying, and then there's beautiful melodies involved in it, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, here's another one that's really terrifying, but here's also just some cool riffs. Like, I think it's cool that you played riffs in it.
Yeah, and that was by design, right? Because a melody would stand, again, it comes from the nature of how the record was made. It was made to be something that was listened to and as an entire collection. And if you want to jump in and jump out, you can. But like, if you listen to it in order, the story unfolds. Like it's a journey. And I don't have delusions of grandeur. I'm not the first guy to like look at something through that optic. But all my heroes' records had that effect on me.
Yeah.
So that was something that I wanted to in turn, maybe just incorporate. Like, I just don't want to put out another guitar record that is just like NAMM songs. Right?
That needs to be an album.
It just needs to mean more than that. And when I would catch myself, what mattered is like if I was sitting in an interview like this, because I knew these things would happen when I release a record. You get an album cycle, you know, and it gets promoted or whatever, and things happen. I wanted to be able to go, okay, you know that song on the record that goes, and somebody would be like, yeah, and then like the other ones like, and even within that, that's not the melody. It's, like that's the statement of that song, even though that same song is, you know, it's got that stuff in it. But then also there's, like that's a statement that matters to me. To me, that was actually the first one that I wrote, first demo that I wrote. Was really? That little thing.
Because that's a lot of the stuff that really stood out to me.
That's the last song on the record, and I thought it was ironic and clever to me, and an inside joke that only I would get. It'd be like the very first demo I wrote. I was teaching a lesson, and I was like, things don't have to be complicated to be good. That was the whole point of the lesson that night. And I said, and I did that as like just something that. And I said, I think that's good, right? Everybody in the room, we think that's good. And I was like, man, I better document that. If I legitimately think that's good, that needs to go somewhere. And then it ended up being a song, and the song's not complicated. Let's see.
Sounds.
You know, it's about the story. It's actually meant for a Strat, but like this guitar can kind of fake it good enough. But yeah, it's like, you know, all those things. I wanted to be able to go through every song on the record in a brief moment. Like you could also, you know, if I played, you know what that is,
right,
without playing the whole thing, right? Second time in one interview I've referenced Manhattan, and I think I also played it in E. It's in E flat, so I'm aware of what I did wrong.
The comment sections were getting ready to tear you
it's
up.
in E flat. It's not in E. But like, yeah, it's like if you jump in on any of our favorite tunes, like that we love, you know, it's like I grew up with Brent, so it's like that's all I have to play. And somebody's like, oh, I know that song. I like it, you know? So I wanted that, whatever that effect was, where it's like you're bigger than the collection of notes. And that's like, or all of those little amplifiers that I talked about, that's where it's got to end. It's got to end in something that's like, you've got to be bigger than what pedals do you have? What amp are you playing through? What guitar, you know, who did you, it's got to be bigger than all that. It's got to be something that connects with people on a level deeper than the parts and deeper than 28 seconds. Because making a record is not making Instagram content. Yeah.
Which is a really good point, because everything's so like bite-sized now versus painting like a full picture. It's kind of like a sketch versus like, oh,
for
this is like you're painting. You're not just, it's not the sketch of
or it's somebody spent all this time painting something that's only this big.
Yeah. See, I think that's interesting. And you know, I do want to talk about this because I love the tone that you do have dialed in, because sometimes that can be really inspiring too. You know, you have a certain tone because this is your signature, sir.
Right.
And I always find signature gear really interesting from guys like you, because you have so much experience, either as sessions, live, your own personal stuff. So that all obviously goes into when you design something, you're like, this is why the normal version didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously 24 frets on a Telecaster.
It's actually, that's a happenstance.
It's just cool.
It's great to have, but it's actually happenstance that you get the high E. This guitar was 2014, the black one that most people see me play, the black with the silver, the brushed aluminum. That was a solution to an end for me. I've loved the Sir Modern, but I'm a Tele guy.
Right.
And so Tellies have this huge chunky hill joint where I can't play here. So I was like, John, what if we put the modern hill joint on one of the Tellies? And he's like, nah, nobody cares. Nobody wants that. So I just kept tugging at him. Finally, he's like, look, if I build one for you, will you just leave it alone? And I was like, I don't care if you build one for anybody else.
Yeah.
I want it for me. Ironically, that self-awareness was like what helped me craft my statement. I wasn't trying to build something so my name could be on the headstock so I could sell it.
Right.
That was like literally the last thing on my mind.
It was a tool you wanted.
It was the tool. And so the thing that I noticed was there was a couple of fundamental things, was like modern playability, vintage kind of tone and telly things, even though this isn't vintage, but we'll get there. The accoutrements was about trying to get from point A to point B, not in a studio environment, but live. I was on tour. I was out with Rascal Flatts, and those records are layered up with Les Pauls and Tellys and everything. And I was actually playing second guitar part because Joe Don does all the hero parts.
Right.
Joe Don also like jump in and out and change parts depending on what he's about to sing. So he's kind of altering all the things. So I was like, I need to fill in all this space. That was actually a great education, and I can never repay the kindness that those three dudes has given me in my life. But that is where this came from. I was like, I need it to be versatile, but it can't be complicated. Whereas like I have a beautiful Tom Anderson drop top with the switcheroo. It's one of the most versatile guitars on the planet, but I can't get from point A to point B fast enough. Where this is a 5-way and a push-pull, and everything that I want's there.
Yeah. Well, and I know she went with a 2-point trim.
Yeah, and it's recessed.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say,
so I could do all the, you know, because there is a lot of that, you know. It's like if you have, I don't know, that bi-directional thing is really important. Yeah. To making those things work. You know, and sometimes with a volume pedal, maybe like. And it would swell in and do the thing. Yeah, but like in the same song, I mean, they may need to start it with. You know, I may need to do all that in like short amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, depending on whatever musical environment. And I noticed that, like, for me, it's like a song like Free Range Chicken on the new record. I've got to go from the main riff, which is, to the Brent solo. That's going to be more authentic with a telly because that's how it was cut.
Right.
I can't do that live. And then I've got to go from that into, I've got to jump all those parts while stepping on pedals. And I don't really like a middle pickup hitting my pick.
It drives me crazy.
So this is the perfect combination to get me through a song like Free Range Chicken live. In the studio, you got all day. I can use this amp for this one side and that guitar, but I need it to be able to do it live. And I use a lot of Strats in the studio. So the neck most coil, actually on the 5-way, I have the neck humbucker. All right, let's just go clean here. But like this next one back is just the neck most coil, so it's real Hendrixy.
Okay. I was wondering if it was splitting the...
You know? And then here's the humbucker. And another thing that I love about it is there's no wheel adjustment tool for the neck down here that moves the neck pickup back. Like the neck is as far north as it's literally touching the fretboard.
That's always the issue I've had with 24.
Because they're back.
They're back, and especially if there's a middle pickup, it pushes those.
Everything's
even
wrong.
Close. I'm like, oh, this is just uncomfortable to play.
Yeah, so it's probably in bad taste, but any Google search will yield the result. There's a manufacturer that did a kind of a copy of this, and I was very flattered. I knew we had done something special. When a big manufacturer makes a copy that's got the burnt body and a 24 fret telly, but they have the wheel down here. So you guys can go find out who that manufacturer is. I really love their guitars, but that's why it's wrong. You know what I mean? To me, and the heel joint's not asymmetrical, it's not curved back, and again, it's not really about having high E, it's about like like in the head to Free Range Chicken, I've got to play the arpeggios. I got to do an A. And I'm at no point am I touching the heel joint.
Yeah, you've got more real estate there.
Yeah.
To go.
So it's not even a bit about being up here. It's just about everything in that area being, you know, more available and not in the way. So yeah, it's a really long tangent about the guitar, but obviously it's easy to talk about it because I believe in it and it feels right.
I just think it's a cool take on, like you said, such a traditional instrument, which I can kind of see maybe why John was like, people won't want this, they want it to be a traditional telly, and then you guys did it, and obviously it's been extremely popular, and it's like, no, people are accepting of like a more modern vision of what a Telecaster can be. And
with Signature gear, I wanted it to where, like, if you didn't know who I was, which is highly likely, the guitar just looks awesome, and it doesn't look there's not like katanas or flames or something that makes it too Andy. You know what I mean? It's like this, the most ostentatious version is our new 10-year anniversary, and it's very much me. It's got the Ferrari red with the carbon fiber, or the Lamborghini orange with the carbon fiber. It's very much a race car kind of thing that only I'm into. But this thing, it's like, if you don't know who I am, like, I was really flattered the first time I saw the band High Fade, who is awesome. Everyone should check out that band. I was like, that guy's playing an Andy Wood model. And then next thing I know, they blow up and they're killing the game, and he still plays his Andy Wood model. And I was like, that's how I know we did something special. It's a bit like, you know, we all look up to John Petrucci. His guitar can be played by anybody, anywhere. You know what I mean? Like Joe Don had one. You know what I mean? Rascal Flats. And then I've seen, I think even Bonamassa had a baritone one or something at one. It's
really?
Like, I think so, man. Don't marry me to that, but I feel like maybe he had something weird that he had. But yeah, the Petrucci guitar is so like, it's not just him. It's not so signature that only he can play. Versus like the Sinister Gates thing. And hey, I love Sinister Gates. Like, Avenged Sevenfold is my guilty pleasure. Guys, if you ever want to collab, call me. Like, I'm a super fan. But his guitar is so signature that you're getting it because, I mean, you and I both have the Van Halen Stripe guitar. Yeah. I've got the Pound Cake guitar. Like, that's why I'm buying it. It's so signature. Yep. But when I was doing this and developing the pedals, it was about problem solving and creating a tool. And I think that's why it's successful.
Well, and didn't Tim Pierce got one as well?
Yeah,
didn't he?
Tim got one too.
So I mean, you have obviously very elite players.
I think Jeff Loomis has got one. Mark Tremonti's got one.
Oh yeah,
and they all reached out. They're like, "Dude, this thing is a ripper."
See,
and I'm like, man, thanks. It was just like, and especially with Jeff and Mark, because they're like, typically I hate tellies. I was like, this is exactly the guitar for you.
It's the telly for people who like maybe don't like tellies.
Yeah, because there is so much of that special thing that comes from a certain body shape and body wood. You know, it's like the whole, you know.
Yeah.
You know, all of that stuff. It's all not really 100% telly, but man, if I've got to get there in a song,
it
I can
get it done.
there. I can get there, yeah.
So is this all, because you also have your Woodshed compressor, and a buddy of mine just got that, and he was telling me about it.
It's a bit like my MSG for your tone pedal. like it's like if you've got a pretty decent tone, let's go without it, right? But you don't lose any of your sparkle.
No, it's like a compressor clean boost together or something.
Well, it's because it's kind of approached the way like maybe a 1176 is. Like this is a ratio. The biggest knob is ratio.
Okay.
So it's like theirs like 1-to-1. So it's really a boost there.
Yeah.
But it's different than other manufacturers who do a blend.
Mm-hmm.
Blend sounds different to me. And I'm a compressor-aholic. I've got a whole shelf with every barber tone press, you know, like Dynacomps, Wamplers, Keeleys. And I just took a you know, what do I like about all of them and what am I not getting?
Yeah.
And that was the approach. And a big thing for me is like compressors work the best and they retain so much of that sparkle. This guy.
Yeah.
Those chirpy things,
that's what I like about it.
They
so much.
retain that when they're running at a higher voltage. So like my favorite one was Carl Martin for a long time, but I had to have 3 of them because they would always break.
Oh.
No offense, but like that's also the truth. And
it's also a problem.
it ran at 18 volts. So the way Kevin figured out to trick this was to use a charge pump. So inside the pedal, it thinks it's seeing 18 volts.
So it thinks it's 18.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because Andy...
And that's a testament to Kevin's brilliance.
Yeah.
Kevin, sir.
Because Timmons was using...
Carl Martin's too.
Yeah, for a while, wasn't he? I don't know if he still is.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's still about retaining all that clarity in that top end. You know, it's like there's a tune that kind of the whole... On my record, there's a tune called Cherry Blossoms that's all about that sound. And that'll fall apart without it, right? So you can see how much the top end on that note, that D.
Yeah.
You know? Because I want to be able to ride a lot of low end in the sound in a thicker tone, but I don't want to lose my like transient little sparklies.
Yeah. Because when we were setting up here, you were originally playing through the Marshall back there, and I love guys who are at your level. Joey Landers was just here yesterday, you know, doing videos with him, and he was going through different stuff like dialing in tones, and I love seeing what you guys, or I guess hearing what you guys are hearing, because you were playing through the Marshall and you're like, it's just breaking up too soon. Like, and then you're like, do you have anything cleaner?
Yeah.
Because are you primarily getting your overdrive tones from pedals? And
so for my album stuff, I am.
Yeah.
For my solo stuff, I am. Like Andy, the main man, not Andy, the sideman.
Right.
They kind of have different approaches, right? But
which would be cool if you would talk more about like the 2 different approaches to that stuff.
So like for me, it's like as an artist, you got to find your voice and your sound. And so that's a combination of the gear, the tool, like what you're going to play, what you're choosing to play may not sound great on other gear. Like if I was going to play a bunch of, Van Halen riffs, like that's going to be the thing for that, right? But like there may be moments on that record that would be great for that, and I would probably use that to track it.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to like, how am I going to recreate it live and be able to do everything and get me through everything? And I've learned that like, a clean platform will allow me to paint with a wider spectrum of colors. Not that I don't love Diesel Herbert. It's a desert island amp for me. But like still, it's like I need a clean platform because I've learned that like that's where the silkier kind of lead tones live, but the sparkly cleans, I can kind of get both out of that. And gain staging stuff is where you get a little more of that velvet kind of velvet lead tone. Then the sideman approach is just what's the right thing for the gig. Like I'm going to sub for Pete Thorne on June 5th, actually, on the Classic Rock Roadshow. The thing, because he's out with Steve Vai.
That's a cool.
It's really cool. I was very flattered because Pete's got big ears and he could reference anybody he wanted. So I was flattered he called me to sub in for him. But it's like I'm taking an SG, taking a Les Paul, taking the things that do that thing.
Yeah.
They don't, I may play one of my guitars on a couple of songs. Like there's a Rolling Stones tune that they do that'll be perfect for.
Right.
Obviously. But like, you can play Back in Black, you better have an SG.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come with it now.
Yeah.
So that's like the sideman approach. That's like if you're playing with Morgan Wallen, you're going to need a different set of tools. And I look at it like, there's never been a better time to be a guitar player because there's so much gear everywhere. It's so easy to get a great sound, so many options on so many ways to get sounds. But that's also like going to Home Depot and not realizing what part of the house you're building.
Yeah.
You're not going to paint the walls with a shovel. No matter how much you love that shovel. It might be the nicest shovel in the whole store, but it's still not the right thing for the job. So that's the sideman approach.
Yeah.
And just being self-aware to not over-insert what you want something to be versus what it needs to be. And I think that's where guitar players get in trouble with volume. They get so, they're trying to over-insert versus like let things be organic and do the thing it needs to do. I'll tell you a great example of this is Justin Derrico with Pink on that gig. She's had him forever. I mean, like he's a perfect fit.
Really long time.
But like if you watch him do the flamenco thing that she's doing, the salsa dress, that was on one of the tours. It was so great. He played so great. And it's like, obviously he's not like a Paco de Lucia style of player, but he wasn't trying, he was just trying to make the thing work with what it was. And I think that's this specific moment where I think about how great he is as a sideman to her, being self-aware, and then ironically, it makes him look better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Totally.
like that cycle. It's like if you do the job great, you're going to look like you're the man,
Yeah. Has Pete ever been to a Woodshed?
No, I was hoping to get him this year. It's like he's another road warrior, so it's like it's hard to get. Yeah, it's like it's hard to get all the dates to line up with all the people. I was hoping he could come back this year. But if he can't, I mean, I call him every year. I call Ian Thornley every year.
Oh,
and
man.
I call Ian every year. Ian, if you're watching this, man, your chair sits vacant. But it's a lot of it's to do with the touring schedule. Yeah, especially when we had Steve Morris. Ian was like, dude, I would love to be, because that's like one of his dudes.
Well, I was going to say, and to anyone who doesn't know, Andy puts on this amazing guitar. Would you call it guitar camp?
Man,
it's just a guitar.
I think to the non-goer, it's a camp, but to what we do, it's a lot more special.
It's super special. I got to go to. Well, I'm not sure what year it was. I think it was 2 years ago with Eric. It was Eric Johnson.
Yeah. So we had Steve this last year. We had Eric year before last. Yeah, and it's called the Woodshed Guitar Experience. Another like offshoot of COVID, ironically. First year we did it was a COVID year, and
I remember, and I was like, "That's a bold move."
So the reason I knew it would work is like we're only going to sell 100 slots. We own the property. We have multiple stages. You've been there. You've seen it. It's like it's not a bunch of people in a Marriott lobby.
No,
that's not what it is. So that's why I think a lot of people think of the guitar camp experience. That's kind of what they get in their mind. Ours, like we own the whole property, so you can blast a 100-watt Marshall 2 o'clock in the morning if you want to. Nobody cares. So the other thing with it being such a limited limited attendee, it allows the artist to be way more less barriers.
Oh,
And
you're there with them.
you're there with them. But then on the attendee side, they don't feel like they've got to, hey man, will you please sign this really quick? I only have 2 seconds with you. Because that's not a thing and so chill, it creates this natural energy. Like, dude, Joe was letting people play his $350,000 59 burst. Robin Ford was letting people play Dumble number 2, the Talk to Your Daughter amp.
Oh my
like that
God.
was year 2. And then, I mean, there's a million of those stories. And we've got a few slots left this year. This year we have Dan Huff, Paul Gilbert, Trey Hensley, Mark Lettieri, and myself. Live band, no iPad backing track type of stuff. And we've got a few slots left, and I wanted to give you a code that your viewers could use. So Rob, let's see, Baker 200 will give anybody that sees this video $200 discount to come, and it's September 11th through the 14th. But yeah, man, you've been there. You kind of, you know.
I can easily say that it's one of my personal favorite guitar experiences was just standing there and Andy Timmons walks up as we're all watching EJ play. And it's funny because Andy's such a hero of mine, but then he's there. You can tell he's in fan mode. He's just watching EJ up there do his thing. And then we're at the other stage where, you know, the attendees get to jam with a bunch of the guys, and Brent Mason's like, oh, sorry, man, let me get through here real quick, as he's holding his, like, you know, 68 Telly. And I'm like, what is happening here right now? So anybody who's thinking about doing it, it is a very, very special guitar experience.
It is, man, and I think it comes from a source of I'm a touring player first. I'm not a guy that puts on events first.
Right.
So I know what is awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, like, look at it this way. Like, you just mentioned today, since I saw you earlier this afternoon, you've been hanging out with Dan Huff, you've been hanging with Joey Landreth, we're doing this today. Like, in our world, we get this kind of thing, and it's awesome. The guy that's, like, doing your dental work or changing your tire or hanging your sheetrock, they don't get to do that all the time because they're not in the music industry. So the thing that I wanted to offer was an experience, not lessons with famous people.
Right.
That's what I think the difference is.
More like younger players are obviously more and more are looking up to you and you're playing. Like, what is something that you hope that they're taking away from your playing? Because obviously you have incredible technique, but also incredible melody and a really good sense of playing. You know, like, what is something you're like, well, I hope younger players aren't just focused on my picking. You know,
yeah. Hey man, show me your alternate picking. It's the number one thing.
Which is phenomenal.
Question.
It's why I didn't even want to mention. I go, dude, Andy has been asked about his picking 1,000 times. We're gonna do a lesson video.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do
there.
it. But for this one, I'm like, what are you hoping that is translating to other people?
Man, that used to be such a hard question to answer. Now it's the easiest question to answer. Play me a song.
Yeah.
The number one thing. What song are you going to play? Don't be all dressed up with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
With a wall of gear behind you and Thanos gauntlet level technique. And what song? Even if you're just going to be like, man, all I know is Crazy Train. Man, let's play Crazy Train.
Do it at 10.
Kill it.
Yeah.
Like, play me a song. And I think that's the thing that is starting to become back in fashion. I think Instagram culture, TikTok culture can only last so long. Because and it's, you know, guitar popularity. Like, I hear people, you know, guitar popularity is killing it right now. There's guitar solos in every pop country thing. I mean, Broadway, there's guitar stuff everywhere. It is amazing. Metal, like I'm the music director on Shiprocked. There's guitar solos the whole cruise.
Yeah.
Like, everybody everywhere is doing guitar stuff.
I love it.
It's got to serve the purpose. How do you get to Shiprocked? How do you get to Bonnaroo? How do you get on stage with... Why is John Mayer playing with the Grateful Dead? Because he can play a song. It comes back to that. And I sound like an old man yelling at a cloud saying that, but my brothers, my sisters, play me a song.
Well, cool, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming in here and taking the time to do all this.
Dude, I'm honored you asked.
Oh, man. And then we're getting ready to shoot a lesson.
Yeah,
now we're going to talk about picking. Now, how's the picking?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, brother.
And there you all have it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks to Andy again for stopping by, Sweetwater for sponsoring it. If you're thinking about going to the Woodshed, use that promo code. And check out Andy on all of his socials, man. I'll link his Patreon, I'll link his website, his YouTube channel. There is just so much to learn from him. So check it all out. And yo, I'll see you all next time. Later, homies. Bye.